A major escalation has shaken West Asia this week. In an unprecedented move, Israel carried out a missile strike against senior Hamas leaders in Qatar, a country that has long played a central role in peace mediation. This is the first ever known Israeli strike on Qatari territory, and it could have far-reaching consequences for diplomacy, security, and international law. So let's break it down step by step. What exactly happened in Doha? How was the strike carried out? What role did the U.S. play? And what are the implications for peace and stability in the region? So what exactly happened in Doha? On the 9th of September 2025, explosions shook the West Bay Lagoon district of Doha, an upscale area near the city's diplomatic quarter. Witnesses reported loud blasts and thick smoke rising from a damaged residential complex near a petrol station. Soon after, the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, announced they had carried out a precise strike against Hamas leaders they say were responsible for the October 7, 2023 massacre in Israel. Hamas confirmed that its senior negotiating team survived, but the group said 5 members were killed, including the son of the top negotiator, Khalil al-Hayya. A Qatari security officer also died and several officers were injured. This strike is unprecedented because Qatar has hosted Hamas's political bureau for more than a decade. Doha has acted as a base for Hamas's diplomatic and negotiating team, ensuring a channel for talks with Israel and international actors. Until now, Israel had avoided striking Hamas officials in Qatar, mainly because of Doha's importance as a mediator and its close ties with the United States. The timing is also significant. The strike came as Hamas leaders were reportedly meeting to discuss a new ceasefire proposal backed by Washington. For months, the U.S. has been pushing for a deal that would end the fighting in Gaza, secure the release of hostages held by Hamas, and create a framework for reconstruction and long-term stability. Hamas had recently signaled it was open to some ideas in the U.S. plan and was also preparing a response. Israel, however, insists that those targeted were directly tied to the October 7 attacks, which killed about 1,200 people, if we recall, in Israel and saw hundreds taken hostage. Among those reportedly targeted was Khalil al-Hayya, Hamas's chief negotiator and exiled Gaza leader. He survived, but Israeli officials hinted that other senior figures may have been in the building. This shows Israel is now prepared to strike Hamas leaders anywhere in the region, even in countries central to diplomacy. How was the strike carried out? Reports in the Israeli media suggest the operation was large-scale and highly coordinated. According to those reports, 15 Israeli fighter jets were involved. They fired 10 precision munitions at a single target in the residential complex. The strike was guided by detailed intelligence on Hamas leaders' movements. The Israeli Prime Minister's office confirmed this was a wholly independent Israeli operation, stating, "Israel initiated it, Israel conducted it, and Israel takes full responsibility."
At noon today, I convened the heads of Israel's security organizations and authorized a surgical precision strike on the terrorist chiefs of Hamas. These are the same terrorist chiefs who planned, launched, and celebrated the horrific massacres of October 7th.
The strike also followed a deadly shooting in Jerusalem just days earlier, for which Hamas's armed wing claimed responsibility. Netanyahu defended the action as a justified response.
They perpetrated the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Now, they were meeting in the same place, exactly the same place, where they celebrated this savagery almost 2 years ago. At the beginning of the war, I promised that Israel would reach those who perpetrated this horror. And today, Israel and I have kept that promise.
Israel has assassinated Hamas leaders before in Gaza, Syria, even Iran. But this was the first strike inside Qatar, a country deeply tied to mediation. Analysts say this could mark a shift in Israel's strategy, moving away from negotiations and towards eliminating Hamas's leadership wherever they are. Where did the US stand? Well, given Qatar's role as a US ally, the key question is, did Washington approve the strike? The White House confirmed it was informed beforehand, likely because of the Al Udeid Air Base just outside Doha, the largest US military facility in the Middle East. But both US and Israeli officials stressed there was no American involvement or approval. President Donald Trump reinforced that point in a Truth Social post, writing that the strike was a decision by the Prime Minister Netanyahu, not by me. That means President Trump.
Well, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't have to do that. I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. But I would tell you this, I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
Trump said he directed his envoy, Steve Witkoff, to inform Qatar, but admitted the warning came too late. He added that while eliminating Hamas is a worthy goal, bombing inside a close US ally like Qatar does not advance America's or Israel's goals. Qatar disputed Trump's account, saying the first US call came after the explosions were already heard in Doha.
The attack happened at 3:46. The first call we had from an American official was at 3:56, which is 10 minutes after the attack. And after that, President Trump has spoken with His Highness the Emir. He condemned the attack, and the U.S. government positioned that they have no knowledge about the attack nor any coordination about it until it started to happen.
The strike triggered widespread international backlash. Qatar called it a flagrant violation of its sovereignty and international law.
الهجوم الإسرائيلي اللي
The Israeli attack that took place today on Qatari soil, we cannot call it anything other than state terrorism practiced by someone like Netanyahu. Does this message mean that he intends to reshape the Gulf as well?
Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the UAE condemned the strike, even though some of them normalized ties with Israel in recent years. The European Union described it as a breach of international law. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also condemned the attack, warning that it undermines Qatar's mediation role. Russia went further, calling it a gross violation of the UN Charter. Even Pope Leo voiced strong concern about the humanitarian and diplomatic consequences. This shows the Israeli action is not just a regional issue. It has escalated into a global diplomatic crisis. What does this mean for the future? First, the likely collapse of ceasefire talks. Hamas leaders were in Doha to discuss the US plan, but now those negotiations appear severely damaged. Second, strains in US-Qatar relations. Qatar is not just a mediator, but also a host of the most important US military base in the region. If Doha feels sidelined or betrayed, this could weaken one of Washington's most valuable alliances in the Gulf. Third, the risk of Israel's growing international isolation. Even countries that signed the Abraham Accords have condemned this strike, suggesting a sharp diplomatic backlash. And fourth, the risk of wider regional escalation. Retaliation from Hamas, Iran-backed groups, or others cannot be ruled out. A larger conflict in West Asia would destabilize global energy markets, heighten security risks, and complicate US diplomacy. Hamas has been based in Qatar since 2012, after being pushed out of Syria during the civil war. Doha has used this hosting role to act as a bridge between Hamas and the West, especially in talks with Israel, Egypt, and the United States. Since the October 7, 2023 attacks, Qatar has been one of the few channels for indirect communication between Israel and Hamas. Now, Israel's strikes in Doha could mark a turning point in the conflict. One thing is clear: This moment could reshape the trajectory of the Gaza conflict and the balance of diplomacy across West Asia. Before we wrap up, here's a heartwarming story. 9 Magellanic penguins have been released back into the Chilean coast after successful rehabilitation. Rescued from different parts of the shoreline, they received specialized care before being released back into the wild. These penguins play a vital role in maintaining balance in Chile's marine ecosystem by regulating fish populations. Thanks for watching. We leave you with these delightful visuals.